Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. It is Monday, so I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. I've been playing Tinykin myself on Xbox Game Pass, and I have to say, this is actually a really good game for anybody who enjoys 3D platformers. I know I very much do, so definitely go check Tinykin out. Again, it is available in Xbox Game Pass. You gotta love it. But we do have lots and lots to go over today. Xbox's Matt Booty over at PAX West in an interview had some rather interesting things to say about some of their upcoming high-profile exclusives. It certainly sounds like things are shaping up well, which is, that's great to hear, though at the same time, there still seems to be some skepticism out there, so we're going to go over that today. Also, when you thought there couldn't possibly be any more controversy for The Last of Us Part 1, well, Jim Ryan, him being Jim Ryan, of course, had something to say about that, because now they have a whole new issue that has left a lot of fans less than thrilled, to say the least. Before we get into any of that, though, make sure to hit those buttons below. Like, subscribe, and take that extra step in hitting that bell notification. That way you don't miss any of my daily gaming news. Truly, I very much do appreciate each and every one of you. Let's go and jump into things, though, starting off with a Nintendo leak, and actually a really cool Nintendo leak at that. This is coming from The Snitch, which has rapidly become one of the most notable leakers online for their accurate information. The Snitch, which, if you've been paying attention, has just leaked out a ton, and a ton of different things over the last couple of months with impeccable accuracy. And now, over on, I guess, their Twitter, posted this. Now, this here is what the Snitch likes to do, just kind of post these cryptic messages, and then after that, just let the community figure it out themselves. And based on all the emojis here, it does seem to be pointing at It Takes Two for the Nintendo Switch. Now, I genuinely do believe that this is one of the very best cooperative games ever made, hands down. So this would be a very welcome addition for the Nintendo Switch library as long as it runs well. That is kind of the question here, considering It Takes Two always plays in split screen, so I do have some questions on how this will perform on the Switch, but at the same time, one of the Switch's strong points is its local co-op. After all, every standard Switch and Switch OLED, does come with two controllers, those Joy-Cons, of course, so this could be a great addition for the Nintendo Switch. Interestingly enough, though, and this is kind of where the bigger story kind of comes in, this does seem to fuel the fire that a Nintendo Direct might actually be right around the corner. In fact, Jeff Grubb over on the Nintendo Shack podcast did say that he had heard that It Takes Two is actually one of the games that will be revealed at the supposed September Direct. So, it is starting to look like this is a very real thing after all. We're still kind of crossing our fingers, but yeah, that September Direct could be right around the corner. Now, we do have another leak to go over here as well, because I guess this is just a leaky Monday or something, but this is for Konami. Yes, those rumors of a Silent Hill 2 remake that we just keep hearing about are indeed back. Now, I know it feels like we've been hearing about this game for what feels like years now, so it's understandable why some people are a little skeptical by this point. But over the weekend, some in-game pictures of this remake did pop up online, seemingly confirming its existence. Now, per usual, I'm not going to include those pictures on my channel for copyright reasons, and I'd still take this with a grain of salt until officially confirmed. You never 100% know, but I will have a link in the description below if you want to go check those images out. They're pretty blurry overall, so you can't really tell much from them, but according to Dusk Golem, which has a pretty decent track record when it comes to leaks, did say that these images are the real deal. He posted this over on Resetera. Okay, so I'll say this if these are out there. They're real, but they're not even close to the final product. These are from an internal pitch demo from Bloober that they got greenlit, so it's literally a no-budget proof of concept thing rather than a final product. Just keep that in mind. Out of everything that could have leaked, this isn't actually what the final game looks like. I mentioned before Konami was looking for pitches in summer of 2018. This was one of the pitches that got greenlit, but take it for what it is, a proof of concept, no budget demo to pitch a concept. So there it is. If Dusk Golem is correct here, that not only puts these images into perspective, but it also gives us some rather important information as well. That would mean that Bloober Team is the developer here, which is known for horror games like The Medium. I personally really like that game myself, but on top of that, and this is the part that kind of stood out to me, is that we kind of have a timeline to work with. Assuming that Dusk Golem is correct about its concept being shown in 2018 and then greenlit, that means that Silent Hill 2 Remake has actually been in development for quite a while now. If it is that far in development, that means that there's actually a pretty good chance that we could see this game sooner rather than later, with maybe a 2023 release date. All in all, though, I'd still say that this should still be filed under rumors for the time being. I mean, you never know until you get that 100% confirmation, but let me know what you all think about this. Do you believe it's real or not? Let's go and talk about Xbox, though, as Matt Booty had some interesting things to say in some interviews regarding some of their upcoming games, including Perfect Dark, Fable, and then InXile's mystery game. Now, it's that mystery game that we know the least about. We do know some things, which I'll get into here in just a second, but Matt Booty singled that game out specifically while talking on Larry Herb's podcast and noted that it was one of the games that he's most excited to talk about once they're ready to show it. He said that he and Phil Spencer played it recently and it has some really cool mechanics to it. So not really necessarily a major update per se or anything like that, but the fact that he singled this game out unprompted, I'd say is certainly a very good sign that it's coming together rather well. Of course, InXile is very talented, we all know this, and they've made some great RPGs in the past, such as Wasteland 3 as an example. Go check that one out. But what we know about their next game is that its codename is Project Cobalt, and that it appears to be a first-person cyberpunk RPG. From all indications so far, it does sound like this is going to be a bigger style game than Wasteland 3, which will certainly, I think, be very interesting because, again, this is a very talented studio. We've seen that already, and we'll see what they can do with a bigger style of game like this. At the very least, it is getting high marks from Matt Booty. I guess we'll just have to wait and see for ourselves, though, but definitely a good sign moving forward. The one established Xbox game that I consistently see a lot of hype for, though, is with Fable. Fable, without a doubt, is one of the most beloved Xbox franchises ever made. But there are some questions regarding its next entry. You know, it's been a while since they've confirmed its existence, and fans, they want to know what's up with this game. Now, we know that it's coming from, debatably, one of Xbox's best studios, Playground Games, which of course does such a brilliant job with Forza Horizon series, though that's the thing. Fable, instead, is a big RPG, so it's quite a bit different than a racing game. We as fans, we want to see if they can do the same for Fable, and Matt Booty, he does seem fairly confident that they absolutely can. He said in an interview that Playground Games is bringing that same dedication that they brought to Forza Horizon. Now, he did admit that giving Fable to a racing studio was a bit of a head-scratcher, but that Playground Games has quote-unquote proven that they get it. So that is quite the vote of confidence, and he even went on to say this: "Part of my job is giving air cover to the team. They don't want to show stuff early before it's ready to go. But if there's one game where that's kind of flipped around, where every time I see something, I say, we should show this, it's Fable, because there's a lot of cool ideas." So again, as you're seeing here, he has some high praise for Fable. He's very excited about this game, but it also appears that Playground Games just isn't quite ready to show it until it's completely ready, which, if you do look into Playground Games history, that actually does line up. They don't typically reveal their games until like 6 or so months before release. Even when it came to Forza Horizon 5, that was unveiled at their Xbox Bethesda showcase, I believe, which was like 5 or so months before release. So it looks like they're taking that mentality over to Fable, which personally I think is a good thing. Xbox has sometimes shown things a little earlier than what they probably should have. I'm looking at you, Halo Infinite. So I think it is important that its first gameplay reveal is good right out of the gate. We don't want another Craig situation. Though I will say this, I know that there's going to be some questions on whether or not Playground can make an RPG like this, and we're not going to really know until we see it ourselves. But I will say that I trust Playground as a studio, and with Matt Booty's comments here, that confidence really only goes up. I don't think they would have given Playground a franchise like Fable unless they had proven that they have a good concept and a good idea, and that appears to be the case so far. Now, the one last game that we're going to talk about, though, is with Perfect Dark and some of the questions surrounding the studio. The initiative was originally formed back in 2018 as this all-star studio, as you will. They were small and agile, but also incredibly talented. It was this very hyped-up studio, but after they announced Perfect Dark in 2020, they later on brought in Crystal Dynamics as a studio to co-develop it together. Now, I have absolutely zero issue with this move, as Crystal Dynamics is a proven AAA studio with games like Tomb Raider under their belt, which, by the way, that's where Daryl Gallagher, the head of the initiative, worked previously. So him and Crystal Dynamics already have experience in rebooting a beloved franchise in Tomb Raider. So I thought this was a perfect combination, just bringing them in. However, this announcement immediately led to a lot of speculation online that Perfect Dark must be going through some type of development issues, and that's why Crystal Dynamics had to come in. Well, Matt Booty has heard those rumors, and here was his response. How we make games is evolving. The idea of a single team under one roof really doesn't happen that often anymore. I'll use an example. Our Perfect Dark team down in Santa Monica, the initiative. So we just did this big partnership with Crystal Dynamics, and I read online, oh, this must mean there's a problem or something. It's quite the opposite, right? You got this veteran team at Crystal Dynamics, a big AAA team with over 100 people that becomes available. Of course, we want to work with them, particularly if they've made a game like that before. And that's how we've done an awful lot of work. If you think about Age of Empires 4, which just launched last fall, that was made in a partnership with Relic Studios up in Vancouver. Great partnership. And even with something like Flight Simulator, we worked with a studio in France called Asobo. And that kind of co-development, when you're working out with people like A Certain Affinity, Iron Galaxy, Blackbird, all those studios are so key to the products that we make. So by all means, he claims this is actually a good thing, and I think that he does make some pretty good points here. If you look at AAA games, more often than not, there's multiple studios that work on it. Sony does this, Xbox does it, EA does it, and just so on and so forth. It's become a very normal thing in the game industry. Now, you don't typically get announcements for big co-developer partnerships like this, but I really do believe that Xbox thought this announcement was going to be well received and just create a lot of hype and buzz online. After all, Crystal Dynamics is a highly recognizable studio, and they are working on an exclusive Xbox game. However, instead it led to a lot of speculation online, but I do agree with what Matt Booty is kind of saying here. It's pretty normal to have multiple studios involved on a single project, and as a fan of the Tomb Raider reboots myself, it is exciting to see Crystal Dynamics help out with a game like Perfect Dark, which I am a big fan of this series. Now, as for the initiative themselves, that there is a different topic. Several people have left the studio after the co-development announcement, but that seems more linked to a difference of opinions rather than the game itself. Reportedly, some of the studio wanted to stay small and agile, while the other side wanted to bring in Crystal Dynamics to help realize their vision and get it done faster. So we all kind of know who won that side of the argument, and that led to some people being unhappy because they expected the initiative to stay small and agile, and that's why they ended up moving on. From what I've heard, though, the people that were on the side of bringing Crystal Dynamics in are very happy with how things are going and how things are running. So, you know, it just sounds like it's a difference of opinions, and I guess just kind of take all of that as you will. Now, we do also have a bit of an unexpected and really just quite frankly a messed up situation with Sony and their fans. I know they've had a lot of PR problems, and it just kind of continues on with this, but The Last of Us Part 1 just released a few days ago, and this game has already been shrouded with controversy, of course, as not everybody necessarily believes it's worth that $70 price tag. But disregarding its pricing, this is actually a good game, and a lot of people love this game. It is often viewed as one of the greatest single-player narrative experiences of all time, which is something that I actually do agree with. It is a very good game. But yes, because this is such a good game, there's obviously some hardcore The Last of Us fans out there, and Sony, because of that, they put together a collector's edition for those fans specifically. It's the Firefly edition that goes for $100 online and is exclusive to their website, PlayStation Direct. So they handle all of this themselves. They seemingly didn't make very many, as every time it went up for sale, it pretty much sold out immediately. And in fact, I've seen scalpers on eBay try to sell the Firefly edition for like $500. It's absolutely ridiculous. But what's equally as ridiculous here is Sony's packaging for this highly coveted and highly sought after collector's item. As sad as it may be, unfortunately, it's being reported that there's a big issue with the Firefly edition turning up damaged for various customers. There's a lot of pictures online showing this issue, and it really just seems to boil down to one very simple thing. What in the world is this packaging? It appears that Sony is packaging up this $100 item in one of those oversized looking envelope things that has like little to no bubble wrap inside. I mean, the collector's edition is made out of like this cardboard-like materials, so you would think that it needs protected when shipped. That seems rather obvious. And I'm actually quite baffled at how bad the packaging is in some of these pictures. All things considered, this is honestly just a careless mistake, which I would think kind of damages the reputation of their website. I mean, you don't want things like this to kind of appear online where people are widely talking about it, and that's what's happening here. But what makes things worse is that reportedly, Sony's not replacing these damaged items. Now, like I said before, it seems like this is a very limited item, and that's probably what's happening here, but you still, I mean, as a fan, as a consumer, you expect them to fix the problem one way or the other. And that doesn't seem to be the case here. Now, I have seen some people say that they have gotten credited for it, but that doesn't really fix the problem. Now, I can only speak for myself, but if I bought a limited item that's hard to get and then it comes damaged, I don't want my money back. I want the item that I purchased. So yeah, this is a very messed up situation. And again, I think that it is unexpected. I have ordered several items from PlayStation Direct in the past. I've gotten different games from them. I've gotten some controllers, and I've never really had an issue like this. In fact, I remember them being packaged up well. So yeah, I don't really know what happened here, but I do hope there's a loud enough response that it prompts Sony to fix this the way they should fix it. And that's really just to replace the damaged items. That's the best way to go about this. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, and with the ongoing rumors, I wanted to ask you all, would you like Nintendo to put a big focus in porting GameCube games over to the Switch? And as you can see here, the wide majority of you all are saying, yes, let's make this happen. 74% of you said yes, while 18% of you said no. Now, this reflects my exact opinion because I think this is such a no-brainer decision for Nintendo. Now, I know not everybody necessarily likes buying ports of older games, and that's okay, fair enough, but there are a lot of good GameCube games out there, and there's not really a great option for new and old fans alike to play a lot of these games. Now, if you do want to play GameCube games legally, they're really expensive to buy secondhand. And also, while you have to buy these games for well above market price, you'll also either have to invest in an HDMI adapter for modern TVs or get a TV that accepts analog input. So I think it's time to make these games more readily available for more people. You know, the GameCube, in my opinion, is one of the most overlooked consoles ever made, and because of that, so many people unfortunately just missed out on these games. Now, some people might not even been alive when the GameCube came out. I mean, it is, you know, it's a 20-year-old console by this point. It's hard to believe. You know, I'm feeling old right now, but the Switch can kind of fix that problem, and this is just more reason to be excited for Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess if both of those do turn out to be real ports. Of course, those technically did come over to the Wii U, which, you know, that's not all that old, but I'm not really sure most people even realize that console existed, as sad as that may be. So again, I think it's time to bring these games back. Let's just hope that Paper Mario: A Thousand Year Door will be a part of that initiative if all of this does turn out to be true. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.